Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Unversed podcast. Danny here, and today we're going to be talking about That Sky Blue Feeling. Brand new manga coming out from Viz. Thank you very much for giving us a chance to review the manga. It comes out August 14th, so we got it early just to get in time for the review. And I didn't know what to expect. It's a brand new title. Volume 1 has 7 chapters in it. It's going to be $10.99 US. And when I got in the mail, I was like, oh, I wonder what magazine it's from. You know, because Viz, they publish a lot of different mangas. Mainly Shonen Jump is there. They also do Shoujo Beat and like others here and there. And I was like looking at usually look at the side of the manga and you're like, oh yeah, it'll say the publisher name, but it doesn't say it. And I'm like, why doesn't it say it? Turns out that this is an adaptation of a webcomic by the author, Okura, and it's drawn by Komahashi. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. This actually started off as a web comic. I wouldn't expect that, which is pretty cool. It's rated T for teen, and it is, reading the synopsis, when Norisho, the main character, transfers to a new school, he meets Sanada, a loner who doesn't seem to have friends or want any. The other kids whisper that Sanada keeps to himself because he's secretly gay, but rather than scare Norisho away, the rumor only makes him more interested. He sets out on a campaign to win over the surly Sanada, embarking on a surprising friendship. So, I didn't know what to expect from here. Again, like I said, looking at the art style, it's a fine art style. It's very shoujo-esque. It's very boy love in a sense as well, right? All that yaoi stuff that you would typically expect. Simple art style. It does remind me a lot of Monogatari, right? If you remember that shoujo manga. Probably the only shoujo manga that I like. That's really entertaining. It's just simple slice of life drama, high school stuff going on here. The art style really expresses the writing and the characters pretty well. For it being so simple, it's got its own appeal to it. I like it. We have pretty much 4 main characters. The main character, Norisho, and then we have Sanada, who is secretly gay, and there's been rumors going about, and then his best friend, who he's known since childhood, and where people were weirded out by, like, oh, maybe he really isn't. Because, what's it called? His childhood friend's a lady, and so they figured, oh no, that's probably just his girlfriend, you know? And her name is, before I forget, Yamamoto. And then there's a 4th main character who shows up every now and then, Hidemitsu, this is where it gets kind of weird, because Hidemitsu is Sanada's ex-boyfriend, but he's like in his mid-20s, so it's like, what? You know? I figured, yeah, I'll give it a chance, because this usually isn't my forte of reading. I don't know, I'm just into more other seinen type of genres, but this was an interesting read. There's definitely a fan base for it, for sure. Volume 1 is pretty good. I figured we were going to get a big reveal at the end, and I don't know what the manga is trying to do, right? Because we get some background about Norisho, and it's like, oh, he moves all the time, and he's always tries to make sure that he becomes friends with people, so that way he's not alone. And from his past mistakes, he understands that, oh, I have to be careful of what I say to people, because like there was a flashback when he was a kid, it's like, man, you guys talk weird, and it's like, oh, let's just leave. This guy's making fun of us. It's like, oh no, I didn't mean it like that. So he understands that being awkward in that sense can distance yourself from people. So that's what he figures is going on with this guy, with Sanada. And he's making a big effort for him to be, friends with this person, to get him out of his lonely phase. And yeah, it's very, the manga teases a lot of whether or not Norisho is gay or not, He doesn't know it, right? But and then like like he says, he's like, oh, I'm like usually bad at this female stuff because I'm always moving about, so I never really tried to go for anything. And we get a chapter late into this volume, which pretty much from an audience perspective is probably for sure like, oh yeah, like now we can tell. But still, at the end of the day, it's kind of up in the air for me because like the next page and chapter, it's like it's just the same stuff that's been going on. So it definitely has that going for it. And it really shows, I think, anyways, because Japan's very straightforward, very, in a sense, old school type of way, right? Because it's like, oh, like, what, you're gay? Like, no, that can't be right. Like, that's not normal. Like, that was very early on in the manga, it really shows, I think, the viewpoint from Japan, which I think is great because this is, in a sense, our way of entering the Japanese life. Like I'm watching Terrace House, which is a Japanese drama where these strangers live with each other, and then you get to see their everyday lives in Japan. And there's a lot of similarities with that in anime. It definitely takes a huge perspective on what Japan life is, in a social aspect. So seeing it implemented here, I think, is great, especially because it's like, oh, it's rated T for teen. These are like freshmen in high school. They're still trying to learn about themselves, also being prepared to become an adult. So having that element in there, I think, is great. I think all like slice of life seinen mangas should have that element in there. And not a forceful way, but just, subtle enough to where it's like the foreign readers can understand more, and even, Japanese readers can be like, oh yeah, that's how it makes it more relatable, right? Is what I'm trying to get at. But no, yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting, especially with Yamamoto, right? Sanada's best friend. She, it seems like she has a crush on Sanada because Sanada is one of those guys where he's like, he's a closet, where he has different faces. He shows off different personalities when he's with people, to the point where even Yamamoto doesn't know what's the real version of this guy. And yeah, pretty sure it's very clear that she has a crush on him, and we see a point of him trying to dodge that aspect of their friendship. So, there's a lot of stuff going on here, for it to be a slice of life with just a small cast, because even like the secondary characters, right, like their classmates and stuff, they rarely show up. I mean, they were apparent in the beginning only for the plot's sake, right, of giving us some background on characters and all that. But later down the line, as the main characters get closer to each other, actually start hanging out, the secondary characters distance themselves. But there's still that element of a lot of stuff going on, so good props to the writing on that. That's pretty much, I think, all I have to say about this manga. Volume 1 is coming out again on the 14th of this month. It's going to be $10.99, not a bad price. It's the average price, I think, for Viz now. And it's a decent sized volume. I wasn't expecting it to be this thick. And yes, so if you are interested, go pick it up. It's also going to be coming out digitally August 14th. And you're going to have to wait a little while because all the other volumes after this one won't come out till next year, along with the digital releases. So you can get it on the Viz Manga app, Nook, Kobo, Kindle Books, iBooks, Comixology even, and the Google Play stores, of course. Again, the series is called That Blue Sky Feeling. I like the title for that, mainly because I listen to Sky Blue, I guess, and there's also the other manga, Sky Blue, that I really like that I'll talk about eventually. But yeah, it's an honest teen drama that depicts that special kind of confusion that all kids, straight and straight and LGBT alike, experience as they start to fall for friends and classmates in school, says the editor. You don't always foresee who you're going to be attracted to. It should appeal to fans of young adult and reading and readers looking for a substantial story that addresses high school life and issues with without embellishing or holding back. Yeah, so that's kind of the stuff I was talking about as well. And see, with that kind of line from the editor, it's like, oh, so you are confirming that this is, that Norisho is going to be gay at the end and he's going to fall for Sonata. But the manga right early on is really not telling us a lot. So it kind of is, but then it's not. It goes back and forth. I guess it's trying to get us into the mind of Norishiro as well, because he's wavering about this. So I guess we should too. Which is interesting because, as an audience perspective, we usually are supposed to get more knowledge than any character in the series. So that's interesting. But yeah, that is all I have to say. I think it is interesting that Viz, again, is picking this up as a web comic from the author's personal blog site. So kudos to them. And hopefully this does populate more web comics. I think that's a good job, because there's a lot of good ones out there. Tower God, Noblesse, all that great stuff. And yeah, so that's all I have to say, guys. If you are interested in this kind of genre, teen drama, shoujo-esque, definitely pick it up. It's definitely an interesting read so far. Great humor here too. And yeah, character design I think is pretty great. I mean, it's high school, so there's kind of not a lot you can do, but they managed to pull it off with what they have. So kudos to them on that. And that is all I have to say, guys. Thanks for listening as always. And again, thank you, Viz, for giving us a chance to check out this manga. So remember, hit those bookshelves on the 14th, or hit up your tablets or whatever you read your manga from. And as always, you can email us at unversedpodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Follow us on social media to be caught up over at Unversed Podcast anywhere you go. And yeah, Comic-Con Palm Springs coming up. We'll probably go. We'll see. We'll see as the weeks come by. But yeah, we're probably going to be there. We'll talk about it more on the main episodes and all that great stuff. So yeah, be sure to stay caught up on that. Thank you for listening again, and as always, we will talk to you next time.
ジャックが仲間になった。